The All Progressives Congress, APC, will be relishing the contest ahead in 2027, as over 100 political parties are seeking, political associations are seeking approval to register with the Independent National Electoral Commission. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, disclosed that the Commission has received letters of intent from about 110 associations seeking registration as political parties. 10 of those 110, actually, according to the spokesperson of INEC. Professor Yakubu urged Nigerians, especially those interested in registering political parties, to consult the Commission's regulations and guidelines for political parties 2022, available on the Commission's website. The Commission has also released the full list of the 110 associations, detailing their proposed names, acronyms, addresses, as well as names of their chairmen and secretaries. Joining us on this show to discuss the orders before the new groups seeking registration by INEC is Oluwole Osaze-Uzzi, former Director of Voter Education and Publicity of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Mr. Uzzi, good to see you again. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, and Dr. Ruben, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, registration of political parties is a matter of law. Section 221, 222 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, sections 67 to 71 of the Electoral Act 2022, and also guidelines and regulations of INEC. And INEC, in this particular instance, is saying that the 110 political associations that want to be registered should just follow what the law says. And as at this moment, they have not received formal applications. What they have received are expressions of intent. If, by way of public education, you can just take us through, what the process is required, and then address this cynicism, this skepticism that INEC doesn't plan to register anybody, and that's why INEC is dragging its feet. Is that possible in a constitutional democracy? Hello, Mr. Uzzi? Hello, Mr. Uzzi? Okay, yes. Looks like we are.
I've said Can you hear me now?
Okay, very good.
Can you hear me now?
Please go ahead, yes.
Okay, great. Okay. It's not likely, but nothing is impossible. Things that we thought were impossible, we've come to find out subsequently became the possible, and those who thought were possible seem impossible. But no, it's not likely that INEC has such a grand plan, and if it does, I think the law will take its course. Because why I say so is that over the years, INEC has either put some stumbling blocks to the registration of political parties, and the Supreme Court has pronounced on that. Recall the issue of Balarabe Musa and his party against INEC that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court laid down criteria that, look, once the law has spelled out criteria that must be met, if any political association meets that criteria, it should be registered. So there isn't much of a choice with INEC. But as you said in your introduction, there are certain legal hurdles. There's the Constitution, there's the Electoral Act, and there are the INEC guidelines and regulations for registration of political parties. And any association seeking to become a political party has to go through all these things. If you look at sections 221 to, I think, 229, deal with party registration, powers of party, powers of INEC, and powers of the National Assembly to make laws and to empower INEC to give these guidelines about party registration. The first thing the Constitution says is that no association other than a political party can canvass for votes, can support any candidate financially, can even do anything. You must be a political party for you to do these things. So any association, any group of individuals must either formally apply and be registered as a political association before they can start canvassing for votes. And there are a couple of conditions before which you must satisfy before you are registered. One of them is that your association must reflect federal character. And it goes on to define federal character, which means that you must have representatives from at least 2/3, that's at least 24 states, and the FCT in your governing body. It might be on the National Executive Committee, it might be your board of trustees, but in your governance structure, 2/3 of the people must come from different states. So any association coming into trying to register now, seeking to register now, must show that its national officers come from at least 24 states. Some associations have 30, even all 36 states. Some others don't meet that criteria. If you don't meet that criteria, you will not be registered. It's as simple as that. INEC doesn't have a choice. If you don't meet it, it cannot register you. Furthermore, and the governing council as well, by whatever name you want to call that governing council, has to, it cannot be a permanent body. Permanent body in the sense that its membership, there must be periodic elections. And again, the law defines periodic elections to mean that every 4 years, there must be an opportunity for all the officials to go to the polls, and then members of the party will now choose whether they want that person or those group of people to remain as the governing body of the political association. And your membership also must be available, open to all Nigerians of major age, of 18 and above. And there must be no discrimination regardless of color, religion, ethnic origins, and things like that. These are some of the basic things. In addition, the Electoral Act has put on more hurdles, and so also the INEC regulations and guidelines have now explained, hinging on the superstructure created by the Constitution. So, for example, they require you to have certain numbers of offices. They require you to show the address, utility bills of your people so that they can verify these claims that you have put forward to the commission. And in addition, you have to pay an administrative fee. It used to be 1 million naira, but I know that is under review now. So you have to pay that administrative fee. These are just some of the things that you must meet for you to be considered for registration.
It is indeed quite a process, and no wonder it's not easy for many to be able to meet that criteria, although it's clearly important criteria. Now, some might say that given this huge number, 110 associations interested in becoming officially registered political parties, that this is a sign of a vibrant democracy where many want to get involved and the opposition is excited to be part of the process. But others might say that this is more of a symptom of a decay in our democracy, that people have lost faith in institutions and parties and so forth. So they're taking matters into their own hands. So we're now seeing this huge number of parties, even though we know that soon many of the parties will even get delisted from the register and so forth. Just curious, your position, is this a sign of progress when we see so many parties trying to come into the field?
Quite honestly, I think it may be a bit of both. There are many reasons for this. We tend to lose sight of the fact that I think in the 2019 elections, we had over 72 presidential candidates. I think 90 political parties, if my memory serves me right. So 5-6 years ago, we had that, and we're going back there. In 1999, when INEC was first set up, part of the charge to the Justice Akpata Commission was that you should register political parties. And the basis was that, look, there'll be multi-party democracy. Now, so many associations applied, but only 5 were, 3 were registered, AMPP, PDP, and Alliance for the AD. A lot of the associations did not meet the criteria. Now, 25 years later, you've seen times that the numbers have reduced to 18, times it was up to 90, now you have 110 associations. Not all the associations are likely to meet the criteria, although the law says that all associations which meet the criteria should be registered. If they're not registered within 30 days, and if INEC does not communicate the refusal and the grounds for which they refuse to register them, automatically they become political parties. For example, there are a couple of parties, I think it's the Young Democratic, one of the Young Democratic parties became through court order. They went to court and said, look, INEC, we met the criteria, you didn't tell us within 30 days. Booth Party, also the same thing. Yes, to an extent, it is. Everybody wants to form their own political association. If you recall, at the time of the boom time of merchant banks, every businessman, every trader wanted to form a merchant bank. So it's a trend. It could mean we have lost faith in the existing institutions. We have lost faith in the existing political parties. And don't forget that for now, independent candidacy is not allowed. So you must have a platform. You must be sponsored by a political party, a member of that party, and be sponsored by that party for you to be eligible to contest elections. So if I'm dissatisfied because a few godfathers or a few people control the existing parties, then maybe I should form my own association and turn it into a party, transition it into a party so that I can now contest on that platform. We've had instances in the past where some people have sponsored political associations, spun them into political parties, and these parties exist, but they are into one of the what I may call bigger parties, and they contest elections or support other candidates contesting elections on those bigger parties. So you now wonder, what is the rationale? What is the reason for this? I don't also know if we have, whether it's out of order to have so many political parties. In a place like India, the largest democracy in the world, there are literally thousands of political parties. Some are regional. Some are national. Under our own constitution, you must be a national party. That is why they require that your governing council must have reflect federal character and have members from at least 2/3 of the state. So we don't allow for regional parties, unlike the First Republic. In the First Republic, you had small regional city parties. Parties in Ibadan, for example, had a political party. Yeah. So you had regional parties, but that's not the situation now. It's depending on your side of the divide. I think there are merits in both arguments.
Okay. I mean, that's very apt. And good to see you again, Mr. Osaze-Uzzi. A couple of things I'd like to talk about is the fact that
thank you, Rufai.
People that use proxies to register political party that might be in pre-existing political party, because we're already seeing trends. ADA, for instance, we're already seeing multiple folds of ADA and multiple sheets. And we know the game of people using proxies to register to be able to disrupt or have an input in political parties. Is there a screening mechanism at which that will be done?
Now, the interesting thing, you've hit a very interesting point, Rufai. There are actually 3 ADAs. The list I saw that INEC published. There's AADA.
Okay.
It's 3. There's AADA and 2 ADAs.
Okay.
When we want to say it's ADA, then there's ADA. There are 2, but they have different. Those are the acronyms, but they have different names. By the way, these are just the similarity of acronyms, but it may confuse. The interesting thing is that the law says that you cannot register an association if it has a similar logo or a name with an existing political party. But it doesn't say anything about 2 political associations having similar names or similar logos. If you look at the list, obedience, there are two political associations that have obedience in their names. Now, like the other one, I don't know. Yes, I don't know what INEC is going to do about the other one, because those are acronyms, but they have different names. Which one came first? And in APC, with the merger, before the APC, as we know, it's All Progressive Congress came into being, another association about the same time had sought to register APC. So there was a conflict, and I think that was eventually resolved. Yes, so it's not new. It's something that we've had in a process. There is supposed to be a filtering mechanism. I guess INEC will now do an honest broker in this sense and talk to both associations and say, look, we have 2 of you. The law says that we cannot register you if you're so similar to one. You should not confuse the public. Already, if half of those get registered, it's going to be a problem. People say your ballot paper will be like a toilet roll because there'll be so many political parties and you wouldn't even know. People get confused. So INEC can call them associations together and say, we have this challenge. One of you may have to go back and see whether you want to have a change of name, or you leave that discretion to us to say, no, your name is too similar to this other association. This other association has met all other criteria. We're going to register them. But if all the equities are equal, if both parties or the 2 or more parties meet the criteria for registration and they have similar things, then a decision has to be taken about that. There's no precedent that I know of regarding that.
Okay. On that note, we'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Uzzi. Very good to see you again. We keep our fingers crossed and we'll see what develops hereafter in defense of constitutional democracy, which is the basic principle behind all of this. Thank you very much indeed.